Welcome to Forum360, where our focus is a global outlook from a local view on your PBS channel. I am Leah Love, your host today, and joining us we have Patricia Wicks of PATHworks. Patricia Wicks has spent the last 24 years helping young adults move into their future successfully. She founded PATHworks 9 years ago, which is a youth development company. She focuses on developing young adults' purpose, attitude, tenacity, and hope. Today we will be discussing building hope relationships that will help us move forward and could possibly hinder us from being successful, as well as finding your purpose and your passion. This today will be Patricia, so thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Leah.
Thank you. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about PATHworks and why you feel it was needed.
Well, PATHworks, you mentioned, is developing our purpose, attitude, tenacity, and hope. And we believe that when we have those four elements moving, it works and we can be successful in our lives. We recognize that making active decisions help move us in academics and in life versus passively living. And what I looked around, you think about the standardized testing movement, we think about the checklists of things that we learn to do in our life. It's do this, 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 and now you're done. Do this, 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 and now you're done. And I would argue that those are, while needed for several people, I mean, I like a checklist myself, actively engaging in your environment is more effective because then you're coming from your purpose. You have an attitude of tenacity. And we're going to talk, I know, a little about hope relationships. So that's what I saw the need to be. We need more active decisions in academics and in life with our youth.
So in regards to hope relationships, can you define what that is?
Yeah. That conversation would be really long. And with the time, just the bottom line, a hope relationship is more than a mentor. It's more than networking. It's more than community mapping your environment and finding the assets and challenges in it. It's all of those. And the concept that PATHworks has developed is called hope relationships. A hope relationship is authentic. It's based on mutual respect. You get and give support. So there's a same value, different experiences and exposures. And you have shared expectations. So that's very quickly what a hope relationship is.
Okay, so you did mention a mentor. How can one go about selecting a mentor?
Again, very large, but in keeping with the idea of hope relationships and the idea of having active decisions. So it starts with myself. I am my first hope relationship. And you mentioned in the intro that they can help or hinder. And I argue that the hope relationships in our world help us as well as hinder us. You know, think of a mom who makes you wear that suit. You know, my friends think I'm strange, you know, because I came to this function or event. But when I get there, I learn to hold myself effectively. I communicate, I can shake hands, I can keep eye contact. And I make the grade, if you will. I get the scholarship, I get the internship because of that. So it helped and hindered. I argue that the hinder side of life is just as important as the help side, because where we build our tenacity, where we build our muscles, what we talk about, is through the challenge. So if I'm actively engaged in my environment, you asked me how do you identify a mentor, I'm actively engaged in my environment, my inside self as well. So I'm saying, in my life, what are things I've enjoyed? What things are easy? Not easy, anyone can do it, but easy because it doesn't matter what's occurring in my life. I will go after it. I'll get up early, I'll stay up late. That's what I mean by easy. When you start paying attention to those trends, even at an early age, I now can communicate with you what my interests are. You're a hope relationship to me, Leah, because you do certain things in your career and profession that I may not understand fully, but I know who to go to. Why do I know to go to you? How do I choose you as a mentor on those areas where your exposure and experience is different than mine? Because I'm engaging in my inside self and I'm going, whoa, I want to learn how to, you know, the thing that you do, right? And so I know to ask you those very specific pointed questions and engage. What does that then do for you? It gets and gives support. It opens you up to share specific things that I'm seeking to engage, but also feeling a mutual expectation. There's an authentic relationship. It's mutually respectful. So that's how that kind of goes.
So we have identified our mentor.
Yes.
now we want to build that relationship. What are some ways that we can go about building that relationship?
Absolutely. Go back to authentic and shared expectations. So once we've identified or established what those things are, how we maintain that relationship, people will say it's communication, right? It's communication. I would argue it's not just the I'll call you every Tuesday and I'll email you this, but deliberate, authentic, engaged experiences with one another. You may be someone that I see when I go to Chicago, right? And so I may see you once or twice a year. But in that time, the quality of our experience with one another, the fact that we know we're mutually respectful, that we're engaged in a relationship, that we get and give support, whether we see each other every day or we see each other as expected once or twice a year, we can benefit from that time with one another. So I think, as you notice, I don't do like checklists, but the bottom line to that is when you establish the relationship, there was a shared expectation. There was an authentic relationship that was created between you two because of what you're sharing with one another, because of how you engaged in the questions you asked to engage. So now, as I call the long-term feedback loop, if you will, is the fact that before you end a conversation or a touch, you are preparing for the next time.
Now, I think sometimes the young adults may have a misconception
Absolutely.
With social media that because they like something or somebody has liked something of theirs that they now have a relationship. What's the difference between a surface relationship and a deep relationship?
I appreciate that question. Just to break it up quickly, surface and deep is language that you and I would need to share and define so that we understand what you mean by surface and what I mean by surface and what you mean by deep and what I mean by deep. So with that being on the table, how I respond to that just from my semantics, social media is the epitome of a hope relationship.
Okay.
It can help and hinder you. How does it help? Immediate, gratification, instant information. If you have a respected, person, like if you're on YouTube, you're on those different things, I go and watch you do something, I trust and respect you. So I can receive information quickly, I can act on it and go and know that it's for my good. So that's the help side. The hinder side, and this whole the like and impressions and things. The hinder side is the other side, number one, actually who they say they are, because I think there could be 50,000 Leah Loves out there, right? Because there's only one you, but they could use that name. Qualifying the information with maybe someone that you know in person, especially for young adults, but I would argue for adults as well. Many parents I get the privilege to work with, they're young people, and they'll give me information about what a school requires. And it's something simple as, well, what does an average mean? Mathematically, well, it means half or more exactly. So schools give you an average ACT score as an example. Every student on that campus does not have a 28. They don't. That's an average. It may skew one way or the other, but there's more to that equation than just this one number that everyone is losing their mind over. So to kind of close up that answer, social media is definitely something that can benefit us and assist us in understanding who we are and exploring that space. I argue that it also hinders, though, with the inability to really check the source. So you have to balance it.
So in hindering, how can they move past that if they feel like they are being hindered in their relationship, but they just don't know how to clarify that or where they should go from there?
It's funny because I just said call them, but you can't always do that, right? Dial the numbers, hello.
Right, which
actually
again
who
is
you are.
Probably
Yes.
a better question.
Yes.
They see this person, they've
Yes.
identified them,
Yes.
and now they feel like they can have a meaningful relationship with them, but they don't know how to build that.
They're only using the internet or things of that
they've
nature.
got a surface relationship, but they want it to go deeper. So how would they engage in that?
Well, I think that you're quiet for a moment and think about what it is you want out of this experience or this relationship and what you're offering this relationship. It's both. And so the value that you're bringing to the table needs to be thought about. It's not a straight subordinate, just give me your knowledge, because everyone can learn from each other. So once you identify that, if you are sincere, authenticity with your approach to the other person, if they're interested in engaging with you, you'll feel that. And that's the simplest way I can say that. You'll feel it, and you listen. You almost listen more than you speak, to allow them to share with you what their expectations would be. Be clear on that. Once you're clear on that, then you can move forward with how do we continue to maintain this. Switching to deep from surface is not a one-sided decision. It's both people. I mean, I have several people that I mentor and support and encourage, and they encourage me and I can't always add 15 more people. However, if you say, well, Miss Patricia, do you know something about this? I'm more than happy to share information, forward information to you, and now you're in my mind forever. Every time I see something that makes sense, I can do that. Well, the shared expectation is we're not going to lunch every Tuesday. However, I'm a resource for you. On the flip side, I recognize your value, and so there's resources that you might have, or information, or just an encouraging word that supports what I'm moving. So it's not a decision you make on your own. It's one that you do together. You listen, and you have to be present in it.
Okay. So if you are just tuning in, we are talking to Patricia of PATHworks today, and she's talking about building hope relationships and finding your purpose. So back to the youth and the young adults.
Yes.
Is there a difference when they are preteen, when they're young adult, when they're professional?
Yes.
Is there a difference in how they move in building these?
Building hope relationships? Short answer, no.
Okay.
Because we're human beings. And we live, we're born, we live, and then we go on to where we believe we go on after death. And we're the same person. We grow, we develop, we create, we break down sometime. But all of that is part of life. We are living, we're succeeding, and we're failing, and we're living. I always tell people, keep breathing, right? Keep breathing. Yeah. And one of my mentors, I tell her, breathe through that straw. In other words, calm it down a minute, relax, and engage in the space thoughtfully so that you can make positive or active decisions. A preteen, let me flip it on you. It's not so much what that student or that young adult is doing, it's more what myself as the adult engaging with a young person is doing. Those different stages, youth developmentally, require, in my opinion, a different way of approach. A preteen really knows everything. However, they really need you to stand right next to them. There's a character called Darkwing Duck, and I talk about him all the time. He's kind of goofy, but he gets it done, even if it's not neat. And you don't see him theoretically. So that's what I mean. For a preteen, you're over here, but you really are a shadow with that young person, and you're offering them ideas, not to-dos. As they get older, you've given a young adult a foundation from which to work if we've done our job as the parent, as a guardian, as a mentor, as the person who loves this young person. In those older ages, that foundation we have to trust. And it's not that you go, you have to do it all, because they still need us to support their decisions and to give them, yes, that makes sense. No, it doesn't. Pray that the consequence that they get doesn't kill them. I always tell them, well, that consequence is going to hurt, but you're still breathing, so we'll keep it moving. And that was a challenge that they've learned from. So just to quickly sum that up, the foundation that we build is extremely important in recognizing that that young person's life isn't our life. So even though we're looking at them and I'm sharing with you and I'm giving you this information, they're still not seeing that world, the semantics that we just talked about deep and surface, the same way, because they're living their life. I always tell my daughter who's 13, that's your left and your right foot. This is my left and my right foot. We're walking together, but that's your life. And how you're going to do and what's going to happen for you is yours. I'm responsible for giving the foundation, what we believe to be so. And then from there, you create your decisions, and then you're developing your purpose and your life. Okay. So that's kind of the mix.
Now, to kind of close out building your hope relationships, what are some things that can destroy a relationship?
Flip them.
And how can they avoid doing that?
Yes, inauthenticity. So I really just want what you got, and I'm going to say it like that, or I think I should be you. Those are things that say, I haven't thought about who and what and how I am. And so I can't actually engage with you because I haven't engaged with myself. And I think getting clear, and it doesn't have to be crystal, but just having a sense of, even to say, Leah, I really don't know how I want to go about with this. These are the 58,000 things I'm thinking about. That's authentic, that's honest, that's real. So being honest with yourself first. I'm my first hope relationship. I'm never alone. It's me, myself, and I. I am my first, I love me. Then you move into engaging with other people and places and opportunities, because hope relationships are people, places, and opportunities that move us forward and push us back, not just human beings.
So you mentioned purpose.
Yes.
What does purpose mean to you?
What I'm here to do.
What you're here to do?
It's what I'm here to
Sweet
do.
and simple.
That's it. It's just what I'm here to do.
So how would you tell the young adults who are like, I have no idea what I'm here to do?
Yes.
How do you help them on that path?
I encourage everyone, no matter how old you are, if you get to that point, to just find a place that you find joy in. It could be in your room, it could be under the bed, it could be at a park, wherever you are, in your car. And if you don't write, speak it, but just start talking about what you do. Not titles, but what do? I wash the dishes, I take out the garbage, I yell at my mom, I help all my friends. Just start writing everything that you can think of that I do. What I do, I wake up early, I go to bed late, whatever, just until you stop. And you can pick it up and put it down for a week or two. It's yours. And when you finish, leave it alone for a minute and come back, and you will start seeing categories. And so you take that information up here, you get another piece of paper, and every one you start labeling it, putting it into categories of what is this. And I guarantee you will see a trend. Whether you're on the track team, you're in a science project, you're helping your mom, you're at church, you're at school, the function that you do in all those places, you'll start seeing a trend that's actually what I do all the time. I'm always the one that picks up the phone and makes sure everyone has what they need in resource. I'm always the one that hugs people. I'm always the one that brings the cookies. I'm always that one. I think about systems this way every time. That's what it ends up doing. Slowly, you'll start seeing how that goes. And you'll say, whoa, wait a minute. And then there's tools and resources that PATHworks uses with young people to help them connect that then to courses of study, to what I'm doing right now in high school, how that translates to college, and how that translates to post-college, be it more education, other experiences, whatnot. And the most important thing of that is helping that young adult, who could be 30-something, find their voice, so that when they're voicing, like you said at the beginning, identifying mentors or hope relationships, they have the voice, they have the semantics of their self to then be open to share that with others. So then you can go, oh, I do this part. Oh, come here.
Now, what do you tell the mother who says, my child has no hope?
Yes.
They do not know what they want to do. We have tried this, and this.
Yes.
How can you really help me?
Yes. So I would say, help you or help your child?
Help my child.
That's
help
the
me
first
help
thing
my
I would
child,
say.
or
okay.
however they would say that.
That would be the first thing. So I'm helping you or your child. But then I'd also encourage, I ask a lot of questions. PATHworks does not draw conclusions, and we respect families' expectations. We separate expectations from priorities. The priority is what you actually do. It's what you get up and do every day. That's your priority because you did it. Expectations is what, when we wake up in America, what we perceive our responsibilities to be. So I would ask the mom first, who am I helping, honestly, so that their brain starts clicking like, wait a minute. Then I would encourage them to consider the foundation they've created for their child. I would ask them to consider themselves as a mirror. So if they're reflecting no hope, how can they do something different to then reflect hope? So those are the types of strategies I use to help young families kind of deal with young adults. Many young adults that I get to work with, and they're so cool. Young people are brilliant. And they come, everybody. I have the spectrum. I work with human beings and young adults, so it doesn't matter to me what label expectations have given them. If you're a young person, young adult, and you breathe, you can come. And so can your family, right? But I encourage them to do that, and I encourage them to start there. Start the dialogue of self-reflection of what you are and aren't doing for yourself, and then we can bring the student in. The last thing I want to say about that is, I'll ask the student, what are you doing? What is it that you're intending to do? And the point is listening. It's a development of the voice. As parents, we love our children. We want them to be successful. Easy 21, eat and sleep outside by 21. Okay, easy. And sometimes when we're doing that, the foundation that we've provided for them, the opportunities for them to demonstrate their ability to use that foundation is limited because we're trying to help them so much. Doesn't mean don't help, but there is a way to engage so that the student, the young adult, is telling us, no, this is actually what I'm trying to do. And then my job, or PATHworks' job, is to help mesh those. So these are the things that we do, our priorities, these are the expectations. How do they go together so that we can like our life, right?
So when do you think that you found your passion, and how did you realize that you had found it?
Well, when I was 15 months old, my mother tells a story that I came home from daycare saying, my children did a good job today, Mommy. And then when I was 12, I was given the opportunity at a Kwanzaa function to give a 25-minute discussion with all the adults in the room who were frustrated with the youth of today. And I was sitting there and it just puzzled me. I'm a youth of today and no one's asking me, but they're trying to figure out what to do with us. So I asked my mom, can I raise my hand? She said, sure. So 20 minutes later, I was fielding questions. I don't know what it's called that I do.
Okay.
I consider myself a catalyst. I consider the work that I do necessary, but immediate impact and lasting outcomes without conclusions, but with resource and with an opportunity for you to determine how to use your resource, who you are and whose you are. And you know, I would talk more. But that's when I realized it. That's when I realized it.
Okay.
It's been a long time.
Okay. Well, looking forward with PATHworks Consulting, how do you envision being able to continue to evolve and help with the changing trends while still building meaningful relationships with these young adults?
Well, I think human beings are human beings, regardless of if we're floating in the air because we have really cool shoes or what have you. I think our brains are still our brains. And as my daughter tells me, we're not using very much of it yet. So I would argue it will be the same. It will be consistency, seeking to provide a space for people to experience their priority and have it valued, so that you can observe it and think about it and identify how to get to that purpose because of that environment that's receiving of those ideas.
Okay. If you could leave your youth with one action for purpose and relationship building, what would you tell them?
I think the bottom line of it is know you. And once you know you, you can share it. And I really think that's critical. Because when you know you, you've looked at yourself. You've looked at the goods, the bads, the uglies. You accept who you are. And in that acceptance, it opens the opportunity to do more. Marianne Williamson has the poem about shining in our light. You know, and who are you not to be brilliant and amazing and all these things? And that resonates with me fully, and I share that with a lot of young people because at the end of the day, when I acknowledge my light, and that my light, I always tell people, you have 100% and I have 100%. We both have 100%. It's not 100% and you got 20 and I got 80. We both have 100%. So that light, shine it brilliantly. It dispels the darkness, but we need the darkness to know the light. So those are the types of things I'd share in their journey. And you're gonna succeed and live, and you're gonna fail and you're gonna live. Keep breathing.
All right, in these last few moments, I need you to give me just about few word answers.
Good luck.
So tell me the person who's had the most impact in your life.
So clearly there's, historic figures, there's family figures, but I have to tell you my daughter Madeline Elizabeth Wicks undoubtedly impacted me the most, because we all know, well, some of us may know, theory is great, but practice is something else. And implementing theory into practice is something else. And she has, she's such a confirmation of God's gifts to us on this earth. and the things that she's seeking to do and the way that she thinks, I tell her I'm gonna start crying. That's weird. But the things that'll come out of her mouth are just amazing. I'm like, if you weren't my daughter, I would definitely want to know you. And see, so that modeling the behavior that we want to see. And people come up to us and buy our dinners because we're just having our engagement. They're like, okay, you just blessed me here, So she really has impacted me greatly. I see the truth to the things that I've been doing for 20 plus years. I mean, notwithstanding the students that still keep up with me on Facebook and Instagram and what have you, from my Chicago time and across to my team members. Yeah, she's just such a confirmation.
Okay. I love that.
Well, thank you.
What is your favorite restaurant in Akron?
Well, I do like pretty much any ethnic foods. I can't pick just one. Okay. But anything that is a unique culture, I will eat. I like food. I like to experience it. So unfortunately, there's not one favorite, but.
All right, and how can people contact you if they would like to get more information?
Absolutely. Well, we're currently registering for all of our summer activities, so you can always find us at www.pathworksohio.com. So PATHWORKS Ohio.com.
All right. Well, I'm Leah Love, and thank you for joining us today on Forum 360.
Forum 360 is brought to you with support from Electric Impulse Communications, Kim and Harvey Nelson, Rubber City Radio Group, Akronist.com, Hudson Cable, Medical Mutual of Ohio, Forum 360 supporters, and the Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron.